You know that feeling? Your to-do list, it
Yeah.
just feels huge, like this runaway train, maybe. And you feel like you're busy, you're putting in the hours, but the important stuff, somehow it just keeps getting lost in the shuffle.
Well, absolutely. That feeling of being busy but not productive, it's so common.
Yeah. So today we're digging into something that might feel a bit backwards at first.
Yeah.
Getting more done might actually be about making things, well, simpler.
That's exactly it. In the productivity world, there's always the next big thing, right? These complex systems, new apps.
Right. Always.
But often, if you just cut through all that noise, a simpler, more streamlined way, that can be way more effective. We're going to explore how to get some clarity, some control back into the daily grind.
Yeah, clarity control, I like that. Because think about it, before we dive deep, you shared some articles, right?
Yeah.
And the theme that kept popping up was just feeling scattered.
Yeah. Pulled in too many directions.
Exactly, like juggling way too many balls.
Yeah.
So what we want to do today is unpack a pretty straightforward framework, just 3 core steps, basically, to help you go from feeling totally overwhelmed to, well, actually feeling like you made real progress each day.
And picking up on that scattered feeling, if you've tried other productivity methods before and they felt like they just added more stuff to do.
Oh, yeah. Been there.
Right. This is going to feel different. It's less about adding new tools, definitely more about sharpening your focus, refining how you approach things.
Absolutely. So, yeah, consider this our deep dive into finding a more manageable daily rhythm. Our mission today, pull out the key ideas from the stuff you sent over and show how these 3 sort of fundamental steps can help you get back that sense of control you're looking for. We'll break each one down.
Sounds good. And just so everyone knows where we're headed, those 3 steps we're focusing on are, number 1, really figuring out what actually deserves your main focus.
Okay.
Number 2, taking those key things and making them feel less scary, I guess, by breaking them down. And finally, step 3, and this is one people often skip, I think, actually noticing and, celebrating your progress as you go.
Okay, let's tackle that first big hurdle then.
Yeah.
The one that trips so many of us up. Thinking about your own experiences and some of the things you mentioned in your notes, what feels like the biggest roadblock when it comes to getting the important stuff done? Is it just feeling swamped right from the start? Or maybe it's the constant interruptions, the things that just shatter your focus?
Both of those are huge, such common friction points. And it's interesting how often they come up whenever people talk about productivity. It's a good reminder, really, that you're not the only one dealing with this stuff.
Right. Comfort in numbers.
Exactly. And like you said, feeling overwhelmed, it doesn't have to be like a permanent state of being.
Yeah. You mentioned in one article this idea of analysis paralysis, getting so stuck planning you never actually do anything.
Ah, yes, overthinking it.
This first step seems like it's designed to cut right through that. Think about like when a massive project lands on your desk, what's often the very first thing that makes it feel even slightly less impossible.
Yeah, breaking it down, right, seeing the smaller pieces.
Exactly.
And that exact same idea, when you apply it to your everyday tasks, that leads us right into our first key step. Making a conscious choice about where your limited time, your limited energy is going to go. It's about picking out and then really focusing on, say, the top 3 tasks. The ones that'll make the biggest difference today.
Right. Top 3. Sounds so simple, maybe too simple, but actually choosing those 3 things, it can honestly be a total game changer. It's like creating a filter for your day, making sure your best resources, your time, your focus go where they actually count. And that focus, it can bring this amazing clarity, something you actually mentioned in one of your reflections.
Yeah, and what's really interesting here, and it clicks with some of the research on managing attention, is how this kind of focused approach flips you from being reactive to being proactive. So instead of just constantly putting out fires, dealing with urgent stuff.
Right. The tyranny of the urgent.
Exactly. You're strategically putting your energy into the things that will give you the best results, the biggest payoff.
I like the filter analogy.
Yeah.
Or maybe like, imagine your to-do list is a garden. You've got weeds that need pulling right now, sure, but then you've got the actual plants you want to grow, the things you want to nurture.
Mike's analogy.
Focusing on what matters is about spotting those key plants and making sure they get the water and sun they need instead of just getting lost in endless weeding,
I like that. Yeah.
So, okay, practically then, how do we actually pick those top 3 when everything feels important?
Yeah, that's the million-dollar question, isn't it? Drawing on some of those goal-setting ideas we saw in your materials, a really good way, a very effective way to zero in on those top 3 is to just ask yourself this question. Okay, which 3 things, if I get them done today, will make me feel the most accomplished, the most satisfied when I clock out?
Ooh, I like that framing. It's not just about ticking boxes. It's
No.
about what actually pushes you forward on the bigger stuff. So, okay, listener, maybe just pause for a sec right now.
Yeah.
Seriously. Just thinking, what would those top 3 be for tomorrow? Even just doing that can be a really powerful move towards getting control back.
Definitely. And by making that conscious choice, deciding where your attention goes, you're basically freeing up valuable mental space, mental energy.
Yeah.
And it's not just about cramming more in, it's making sure the energy you do spend lines up with your priorities and gives you that feeling of accomplishment you're actually looking for.
Okay, perfect. So you've got your top 3 priorities locked in. Now we move to step 2. And this one, well, it might seem blindingly obvious, maybe. But based on some of the struggles you described, it feels like a really key area. Step 2, break it down.
Exactly right. Yeah, it sounds like common sense, maybe, but honestly, the power of breaking big tasks into smaller, genuinely manageable steps, it gets underestimated a lot. You mentioned feeling overwhelmed by just the sheer size of some projects. Ever just stared at something complex and felt totally stuck? Like, where do I even start?
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
All the time. It's like looking at instructions for putting together some complicated piece of IKEA furniture.
Yes.
You just want to give up and order takeout.
That is a perfect analogy, and that's exactly where this idea of microactions comes in super handy. Think about that furniture assembly. The final thing might look complex, but really, it's just a sequence of smaller steps.
Right. Each with its own little instruction.
Exactly. And our tasks, they're often just the same, just a bunch of smaller bits waiting to be put together.
And this connects to that concept. We saw the 2-minute rule, although I think the version we saw actually stretched it to like 10 minutes.
Yeah, the principle's the same.
The basic idea being, if there's a small step, something you can do right now, that moves things forward, even a tiny bit, just do it.
Yeah.
Immediately. Don't let it hang around and add to that pile of, oh, I got to do that later.
Yeah. Right. Because those small, quick actions, they stop tasks from snowballing into these big, scary monsters later on.
Yeah.
It's about tackling the little things before they pile up and feel like you can't possibly climb that mountain.
Okay. So let's use that example we mentioned earlier. Organize your workspace.
Yeah.
That can feel huge, right? Like a whole weekend project.
Definitely.
But if you break that down into really small, specific actions, suddenly it seems much more possible.
Precisely. So instead of that big, vague goal, you could have actions like, okay, for the next 15 minutes, clear everything off my desk except what I'm using right now.
Okay, doable.
Or sort through the papers in that one specific pile, just the one pile. Or even simpler, gather all the loose pens and put them in the pen cup. Each one is tiny, achievable.
And there's a definite psychological kick you get from that, isn't there? These little wins.
Totally.
These little moments of, hey, I did something. They build momentum.
Yeah.
Make you feel like you're actually getting somewhere. You mentioned in your notes how important seeing tangible progress is for you.
Absolutely critical. It's like that first sip of coffee in the morning. It's small, right? But it can seriously shift your whole outlook for the day. Those tiny wins create this positive feedback loop. They make you want to keep going.
So true. And you start to see that even the really big, intimidating tasks, they're actually just a series of these smaller, more manageable micro actions, just lined up, waiting for you to tackle them one by one.
And by breaking things down this way, you're not just making them feel less overwhelming, you're also creating a much clearer roadmap.
Yeah.
You know exactly what the very next small step is. That cuts down on procrastination, makes it way easier to just get started, which was another thing you highlighted, right? Struggling to start sometimes.
Definitely. Okay, so we've focused, we've identified our top priorities, we've broken those down into smaller bite-sized steps. Now for the third step. And this is one I really think gets missed a lot, but based on some of the stuff in the articles you shared about motivation, it seems absolutely crucial. Celebrate every win.
Yes. Yes, this is so important. And yet, like you said, often gets skipped. But it's huge for keeping motivation up and actually feeling accomplished. It's about consciously pausing to notice and appreciate your progress, no matter how small it seems at the time.
Exactly. We're always so focused on the finish line, aren't we? The big end goal. That we just blow past all the little milestones we hit getting there.
Right.
But taking a moment, just a moment, To celebrate those wins, even the tiny ones, it actually reinforces the good habits and adds up to a bigger feeling of achievement overall, which again ties back to what you said about needing that sense of forward movement.
Right. And look, this doesn't have to be some big party every time you answer an email.
Uh-huh.
A celebration can be super simple, just taking a breath and acknowledging, okay, done with that, giving yourself a little mental high five, or maybe treating yourself to a 5-minute break, or whatever works for you.
Yeah, one of the sources you sent actually talked about keeping a done list
Yeah.
instead of just a to-do list.
Oh, I like that phrasing.
Yeah, a place where you actually write down what you did accomplish. I really like that idea. It gives you this tangible proof of your progress.
That's so effective. A done list or a win journal, whatever you call it, because over time, it becomes this really powerful visual. You can look back, especially on days where you feel like you got nothing done.
We all have those days.
Exactly. You look back and see this concrete list of things you actually did achieve.
Yeah.
That can be incredibly motivating, seriously powerful.
And the examples they gave were great too. Things like responded to those key emails or finished the first draft of that section or even just took a proper break to recharge.
Small things.
Yeah, they might seem small on their own, but they all add up to a more productive and honestly more sustainable way of working.
Absolutely they do. And by deliberately noting these wins, you're essentially training your brain, training it to recognize progress, to value it. And that recognition, that fuels more motivation. It helps fight back against that nagging feeling of I'm never doing enough that you mentioned earlier.
Okay, so for everyone listening, maybe think about putting all 3 of these steps into play tomorrow. Like, actually try it. Identify your top 3. Break at least one of them down into the smallest possible steps you can think of. And then at the end of the day, just take literally 2 minutes to jot down or just think about what you actually got done.
It really makes you wonder, doesn't it? Have we maybe just underestimated the positive kick we get from simply acknowledging those small steps forward?
Yeah?
It's not about getting lazy or complacent. It's about recognizing that real, meaningful progress. It's built brick by brick with consistent, smaller wins.
So well put. Yeah, productivity isn't just about how much you churn out, is it? It's about being effective, staying focused on what really counts. And, like we just discussed, actually appreciating every step you take towards it.
Right. So just to quickly pull it all together again, we've looked at these 3 core steps. First, focus on what matters, really zeroing in on those vital few tasks, maybe the top 3. Second, break it down, making those tasks feel less huge by chopping them into smaller, doable actions, even the super quick ones. And third, celebrate every win, consciously taking a moment to acknowledge and appreciate the progress you're making.
And look, if you're feeling that familiar overwhelm starting to bubble up, just give this framework a shot tomorrow.
Yeah.
Seriously. Based on what you told us about things you've tried before, even just trying one of these steps could make a real difference in how you feel at the end of the day. Can you think of a time maybe when just one small tweak had a surprisingly big positive effect on your own productivity?
Yeah. Thinking back on those moments is really useful, actually. It just underlines how even tiny adjustments can seriously shift your sense of control, your sense of accomplishment.
Totally. And hey, as a super quick demo, like right now, think about your planner or just grab a piece of paper. You could literally jot down your top 3 aims for tomorrow and pick just one of them and brainstorm 2 or 3 tiny, immediate actions.
Yeah.
Super small. And then tomorrow evening, just note down what you managed to do. It really can start that simply.
Yeah, that's the key, isn't it? Lasting improvements, the kind that stick. They don't usually come from these massive, dramatic, overnight changes.
No.
They come from these small, consistent tweaks that you slowly weave into your daily habits.
So as we wrap up this deep dive, here's a thought to leave you with. What's the very first, tiniest step you're going to take tomorrow? Using this framework. Maybe it's just identifying those top 3 before you even open your email. Maybe it's taking that one task that's been bugging you and breaking it into just 2 really small steps.
Yeah.
What's that first tiny action?
That first action often feels like the biggest hurdle, but it's the most important one. It's just about breaking that inertia, right? Getting the ball rolling.
Absolutely. So go for it. Focus on what really matters to you. Break things down so they feel manageable. And please, remember to take a second to celebrate those wins, however small they feel. You can do this. Productivity doesn't need to be this big, scary, complicated monster.
It can be simpler.
It really can. And hopefully, this deep dive has given you a clear starting point to make it feel just that little bit simpler tomorrow.